We're so excited to have her here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. For those who are discomforted right now watching us on YouTube, we do apologize for all the delays, the technical variances. We're trying to get those fixed as we go along. Evening all, love you, Bonnie. Bonnie Williams is in our chat roll this particular evening. She's here not because of her boss, moi. She's here because of Michael Brown. Oh, he's just the most wonderful human being on the face of the earth. And I promise you, I'm going to give Michael Brown at least 3 minutes. 3 minutes to talk this evening. That's about it. We can't have him talking too much. So there you go. I want to do this. I got to do this real quick. You know what we do at this particular hour of the night when we're not running long on our opening. We do the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. And, ladies and gentlemen, we pledge the flag right behind me. We have the words of the Pledge of Allegiance behind us as well. We ask you to take all of the stuff off your hair. Look at it. Smooth. Take all the stuff off of your hair and put your right hand over your heart to pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But we know what? It will be done better by our kids. And when you come back, ladies and gentlemen, because God bless America and America blesses God, we will tell you 2 things that you need to do with your children every single day. Kids, take it away.
Here we go. Face your parents. Ready, begin.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just wonderful? You just want to love up on your kids. Yeah, that's what you want to see as parents. But you know what? Don't wait for your kids to learn it at school. Give them something to take to school with them. Especially this one. This is not the face you want to see for 3 straight hours. It's stuck in the same position. You do not want to see that, ladies and gentlemen. And apparently our system is updating, and so we're going to go along with that as best as we possibly can, and let you know exactly how it goes from here. Well, actually, you'll see how it goes from here. We're updating. We're trying to do the very best that we can, and we do apologize for any inconvenience incurred by any parties whatsoever. Any parties whatsoever. Okay. And it's launching updates. There we go. Nothing like doing your show at a time when things are being updated. I am so looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing like technology. We're doing slow motion here. Nothing like slow motion. So, we are doing all that we can to get the show rolling, ladies and gentlemen, get over the technical difficulties. And I do apologize for all the freezing that's going on right now. All right. We're working on it. Bear with us. Bear with us. We're working on it. All right. I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to go to a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with more of the best of urban conservative talk right after.
Sometimes imagination and adventure get a little noisy, but maybe that is okay when your heroes are living out the greatest story ever told. Bible Force, the first Heroes Bible, helps your kids to enjoy the Bible in a fun and exciting way. Take the journey with them and enjoy this amazing, color-filled graphic novel version of the Bible with over 700 pages of brightly colored illustrations, perfect for kids ages 6 and up. Bible Force also includes a companion app so your little heroes can read through the Bible independently. Bible Force, the first Heroes Bible, available now from Tommy Nelson.
If you've lived in Hawaii, chances are you've had one of these cheery red bags in your home at one point or another. Today we're here at Lion Coffee learning about the history behind this local company and taking a look at its fresh new image.
So Lion Coffee was founded in 1864 in Toledo, Ohio. It was a guy by the name of Jim Delano who in 1979 brought it to Hawaii. It grew so much he moved to Kaka'ako. And then in 1997, 20 years ago, he moved here to Kalihi, and we've expanded actually twice since then. We roast here locally. We're the #1 coffee brand in local markets, but we also ship around the world. Brands always need to stay relevant, and we went out, we listened to customers, we internally talked about what do we stand for. People love the Lion, they love the red bags, the gold clip, but we needed to be updated, contemporary, so the red is a more vibrant red. And the Lion has become friendlier, yet he's regal and he's wearing a lei haku on his head. And so we kept the same color lineup, and we have the red bags, which you all love, and with the red label for the unflavored coffees like the Lion Gold, the Lion Original, the blue labels for our flavored coffees, and that real rich looking gold bag. That's where we celebrate those Hawaii coffees. And then we've got the green bag, which has the antioxidant rich coffees, where coffee already has antioxidants. These particular ones have even more. And then the black bags are our decaffeinated coffees. When we repackaged it, we put the labels on the bottom of the package, and that seems like a really small change, but it was a big change because before you opened the bag and you started rolling it down to keep your coffee fresh and you couldn't tell what coffee was in it. Now the label at the bottom, it's really easy to keep track of it in your kitchen, and the whole packaging is really designed to make it easier for the consumers who already love us and also easier for those who haven't tried us. We really want people to try our different blends and our different roasts. Well, that's what's so exciting about working here is we do much more than just roast coffee. There was a woman who I met, and she talked about how she drinks Lion coffee because it reminds her of her late mother. Family gatherings in Hawaii is all about the food, but what comes out after the food's finished? Coffee, and you drink coffee and talk story well into the night. That's what Lion Coffee really creates, that emotional connection with people.
This segment is sponsored by Lion Coffee.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We did a lot of tech work in a short span of time. We thank you for your patience with us. Hopefully, there won't be any more disturbances tonight. It was a lot of. It's amazing what guys like us have to do. We don't have a supersized studio. We don't have tech persons there, and we don't have the production staff. We don't have all that stuff. It's just one man crew at times, and at times we get it right, at times it goes wrong. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who begin to watch us, and their stream gets a little shaky, and we do apologize for that. We do our very best. Tonight, I have not heard yet from Michael Brown. Michael Brown, progressive commentator at M.A. Brown, D.C. Now, I have not heard back from him at this particular juncture. And I'm going to tell you why. M.A. Brown, the former council member for the District of Columbia, doesn't want to talk about the issue of abortion. Remember the heartbeat bill that passed in Alabama, Ohio, and they closed the last Planned Parenthood clinic in Missouri, and all kinds of stuff happening around the country where Americans are taking literally the Roe v. Wade argument to task. And it's up to the states to challenge. Now, trust me on this one. If there was no 17th Amendment, the states would have never allowed abortion in the first place. We were much more conservative in those particular. Even Democrats of that day were more conservative than they were of today. So abortion would not have ever been really considered. It's when the strain of extremists began to enter into the bloodstream of the Democrat Party, Stokely Carmichael's, all that group or whatever, joined forces, Black Panthers joined forces with the Democrat Party. You had the radical left, the socialists, the Marxists, the communists found a place, a home. They found a home in the Democrat Party. And so population control was one of the biggest concerns they had. Abortion needed to be done because it's a woman's right to choose. And quite frankly, it's not. It's not even in the Constitution. You can't. It's a wrong answer. It needs to change. And quite frankly, Clarence Thomas, I was going to talk with him the week that Clarence Thomas laid out a opinion in the Indiana case regarding abortion that laid out the platform by which you could challenge it even being considered as part of the 14th Amendment. There's no right in the 14th Amendment to abortion. I don't know how we did it. We got that wrong. We got Dred Scott wrong. We got this wrong. There you go. We make mistakes. We're the court. And so he wasn't here for that. This week, ladies and gentlemen, because, I'm a fair man. Back to the drawing board. We hear 3 or 4 words at a time and then nothing. I apologize. I really do. Done all that I can, and I do apologize for that. Maybe I need to have a staff meeting to find out what we need to do to move on to a stronger stream, per se, and basically eradicate these concerns regarding the broadcast. Just saying, maybe we're just growing too big, too fast, and we need to deal with that accordingly. Let's say, yeah, and I do apologize for all the freezing that's going on. Some nights you're just going to have it. It's just one of those nights, and this is one of those. It's okay. Michael Brown isn't here, so you can take off the cheerleading outfit, Bonnie. He doesn't need it, not tonight. So the progressive commentator is not here. We are expecting, however, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jane Ruby to come on board with us in just a little bit of time. And we're going to talk with her about her trek to Israel, and quite frankly, why the United States should continue our protection or our support of the greatest democracy in the Middle East right now, and that's Israel. In fact, I think it's the only one. Who knows? But I wanted to go back to abortion real quick, because you know me, I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind. Not in the least bit. I did it last night with the Martin Luther King story. Hey, I ain't got. I'll shoot the shot with you here, and I'm going to talk with you about the fact that when it comes to abortion, the left are liars. They are truly, truly liars. Why are they liars? Because they tell me as a conservative man that I have no opinion and I should not have an opinion when it comes to women in pregnancy. And yet, take a look at this picture, ladies and gentlemen. Two white men. Remember now, the Democrats hate old white men. They hate old, wealthy white men. That's what the Democrats tell us, that they do not want white men making decisions for them. That's what the women tell us, who are Democrats. We don't want white men making decisions for the old white guard, toxic masculinity. And yet, Biden and Beto are having a debate over which is the best option when it comes to the Hyde Amendment, which has everything to do with abortion.
Turn to some news of the day. Today, the Trump administration announced new restrictions on the use of fetal tissue for medical research. What's your reaction to that?
I think this is going to make it a lot harder for us to save the lives of our fellow Americans, to do the necessary research that will bring to bear the innovations that will help people who are today consumed by diseases for which there is no cure. This really important federally sponsored work taking place at universities across the country is the bridge for people who today are going to die from diseases for which we have no cure, and the cures that are being worked on in those laboratories. So this is an unfortunate decision, one which we would overturn in our administration.
On the issue of abortion rights, former Vice President Joe Biden says that he supports the Hyde Amendment, which bans federal funds for abortions. What is your response to that?
He's absolutely wrong on this one. The Hyde Amendment basically guarantees that lower income women and disproportionately women of color will not be able to access their full reproductive rights, health care, safe and legal abortion. As president, I will make sure that we repeal the Hyde Amendment and roll back the gag rule, which prevents doctors from being able to make the best possible referrals to their patients, in many cases for the health and life of the woman involved. We've got to make sure that when we're talking about universal, guaranteed, high-quality health care, we're talking about a woman's right, and every woman's right, no matter their income or zip code, to make their own decisions about their own bodies.
Would you support Joe Biden knowing that he backs the Hyde Amendment?
I hope that Joe Biden rethinks his position on this issue. Perhaps he doesn't have all the facts. Perhaps he doesn't understand who the Hyde Amendment hurts most. And again, it's.
Let me get this straight. Joe Biden, who has been in Congress and then in the White House for longer than the Negro slaves took to build it, doesn't understand the Hyde Amendment. It's a former senator in the U.S. doesn't understand the Hyde Amendment, which basically says that you cannot, use my tax dollars to abort a baby. Yeah, that's what it says. Although the Congress finds a way to fund Planned Parenthood, but not for abortion, it's just for reproductive rights. It's amazing how the liars on the left have no problem covering for each other in this disagreement. Joe Biden has been around since Methuselah, ladies and gentlemen. He knows what the Hyde Amendment is. He believes in the Hyde Amendment. It is Beto and other factions that want to go full bore genocide in Black America. What? Oh, did I use the term genocide?
Lower income communities, communities of color. I would ask that he rethink his position on this.
A new Quinnipiac.
So you have to believe, if you don't believe anything, you have to believe this. The strain of extremism amongst the Democrats is so severe that they have nothing to lose right now. Absolutely nothing to lose. Now, you're not going to hear this on other conservative talk shows. Mary will tell you, you're not going to hear this on other talk shows. No one's going to break it down to you this way. Say, crap, back to work now. Still working the day job, 14 hours. I bid you all good night and God bless. God bless your body. Back to work, you all. Mary Brockman makes it very plain to you, abortion is not health care. It's not health care in the least bit. But two white men are now battling over abortion. And wait a minute. I was told that a man has no right to speak on abortion. Remember, Professor Michael Hughes made it very plain to me that I have no opinion on abortion at all. I have none whatsoever. I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm not even supposed to look that way. When I see a Planned Parenthood clinic, I should bow down and praise the Lord and thank God Almighty that someone's going to die today. That's the way I've been told. That's what I've been told. Although he tells me he's not for abortion, except when it's with other people's kids. So, as far as I'm concerned, I am pro-Hyde Amendment. I would go as far as to say that it's none of the federal government's business to be involved in the first place. And number two, that none of my tax money should go to Planned Parenthood. Period. There is no reason in the world. I want to ask you something for those who will follow along at home. Even in low-income communities, is it impossible to find a CVS that doesn't have a condom in the back somewhere? No, seriously. Even the gas stations in low-income communities have condoms somewhere around. Even you could get a condom for less than a cig. And you can buy cigs and singles, 3 for like $1 or whatever. You can get a condom for less than that. Do you mean to tell me that in all of the poor neighborhoods, poor people can afford crabs on the first of the month? Poor people can afford steak on the first of the month. Poor women can afford to buy their man a leather jacket and give it to him and not feed their kids, but can't afford a condom. And the rationale that the left has always used is that they're poor and stupid. So we have to help them control their population. Wait a minute. Is that no different than what Margaret Sanger said about the needless generations, the needless populations? That they're poor and stupid, and we don't need to take care of them. Isn't that what Beto just said? But you know what? There are black women, there are Hispanic women, there are Asian women, there are women of every hue, white women too, that will run right out and vote for Beto. Why? Because he has an opinion that we accept regarding, wait a minute, but he's not supposed to have one because he's a white man. Joe Biden, he can be changed, and we can work on his opinion. But I suppose, why does he have a right to opine, but I don't? And why is it that this man refuses to come on and talk with me about abortion? Michael Brown. And I'll just suppose this right here. Did you ever think that maybe as a Catholic he would have a problem with abortion? I mean, as a personal matter, that he would have a problem with abortion. And knowing that the papacy is supposed to be anti-abortion, I don't know. Nowadays they kiss each other as, imam to pope, and done, little boys and little priests together, all that kind of stuff. I guess they did it, but according to the doctrine, you're supposed to be against abortion as a Catholic. I know Nancy Pelosi doesn't have a problem with it. She can get her wafer and her wine at home. But you're supposed to be against abortion. So how can you justifiably, as a Democrat, be for abortion? See, nobody wants to hold that conversation with me on the left. But right now, when it comes to the issue, Beto at Work says Biden absolutely wrong on abortion, and it's okay for him to have an opinion. He said, I hope Joe Biden rethinks his position on this issue. Why does he want him to rethink that issue? Because isn't it Joe Biden who changed his opinion on climate in terms of what we could afford? Remember, he said that we couldn't afford AOC's new Green Deal proposal at $93 trillion, but he comes up with a $5 trillion plan. We can afford that one. Maybe Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump. And the only way that he can beat Donald Trump is to be seen as someone who evolves his opinion even during the race. Now, while Biden supports abortion rights, he is also a staunch Catholic who invokes his faith on the campaign trail. Can I put that in the chat room for you? Which is why, and this is, see, now someone would have said, Ken, you're just coming up with stuff. You're going after Mike because he's not here to defend himself. But remember now, who studied under Joe Biden? It was Michael A. Brown. Both of them are Catholic. Both of them apparently should be against abortion. How is it that they're both for it for other people's kids? How come we don't get that question answered? Abortion is okay for other people's children. It's just not okay for Catholics. That Jesus loves the abortionist who's a Gentile, but certainly not the abortionist who's Catholic. You see, it doesn't match. It doesn't mash up. Joe Biden, when asked by an ACLU volunteer at a campaign event recently whether he would commit to supporting the repeal of the Hyde Amendment, he agreed. Yet his campaign said he misheard the question and that he still supports the amendment. Can I put this out here for you all? I just want you. It's fun when you can play God with other people's kids. It really is. You can ditch and dodge and do all kinds of other things as long as it's other people's kids. But when it comes to your faith or your religion, I will go with religion, you certainly don't want people saying that you are pro something when your faith or your religion tells you that you shouldn't be. I think we have a problem here, Joe Biden. Here's the problem. It is hard to stretch between right and wrong and call wrong right and right wrong. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right after these messages.
Hi guys, so I am back with another haul. You guys know I collaborate with Shein every month. They are one of my favorite companies to work with because I really love a lot of their clothing. So I'm sharing my picks with you this month from the website. So yeah, I'm just going to basically just show you the items, and if you have any questions, just leave them below in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to answer for you. I have told you guys repeatedly, Shein is an Asian-based company. You're gonna have hits, you're gonna have misses. I follow the size chart. Most of the time it works for me, but not all of the time. Most of the time their items work for me. Sometimes, you know, we have some duds. So I think that's it. Let's get into the haul. Code for you guys. Use the natural 20 for a discount on the Shein website. So that's cool that they gave me a discount code for y'all to use. So I will see you guys in my next haul video. I don't know when that will be because I've kind of pumped the brakes on my shopping. Y'all know I shop a lot. I like to shop. But my birthday's coming up, so I want to like pump it a little bit because I'm going to be going to Europe. Hopefully that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do right now. I want to go to Europe for my birthday. So we'll see. And yeah, I think that's all for now. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!
You're listening to The Exceptional Conservative Show at TheExceptionalConservative.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
I cannot do this.
I have no words. Just pictures.
Ask Rabbit. Ask Rabbit.
TaskRabbit. You're a genius.
Tasker's here.
You don't look like a rabbit.
You can do anything when you believe in it. Why didn't I think of that?
Aloha and welcome to Hawaii Now. Lion Coffee is a brand many grew up with here in the islands, and today we are getting an inside look at where and how this delicious tasting coffee is made. Joining us now is Dan Donnell, the president of Hawaii Coffee Company, maker of Lion Coffee.
It's great to have you here, Jobette.
Yes, excited to get on this tour, but before we start, tell us, what are the steps in making a delicious cup of Lion's Coffee?
Well, there's really three major steps. The first is selecting the very best high-quality coffee beans. The second, taking those coffee beans and roasting it to perfection. And then third, packing and sealing in the freshness.
Okay. Got my safety goggles on.
Well, I'll put on my hairnet and let's go on this tour.
Let's go.
Before we head into the roastery, let's stop here. Aaron, who is a Q grader, which is the pinnacle of coffee tasting, is tasting these samples, and we call it cupping in the coffee industry. He's taking the aroma and the taste and making sure that we have the highest quality coffee. If it doesn't pass here, it doesn't move any further in the process. So this is our green bean storage, and we bring the highest quality beans from around the world and throughout the state of Hawaii. It's all about sourcing great beans and then roasting them to perfection. So after we roast the coffee, we cool it down quickly to stop the cooking process, and then we blow it up into this bin and then drop it After roasting, we get to our packaging machine, and this is really amazing because the film, and that's what it comes on, these packages goes up and over, and we've put in a one-way air valve which helps to seal in the freshness, which is very important. Bags form, it's sealed, and then the product comes right down, fills up the bag, moves along, and we back flush it with nitrogen to really keep your coffee fresh. And then the last most important piece for Lion Coffee is putting on that little gold clip. This is our finished goods warehouse, and the Lion Coffee goes from here to retail locations throughout the state, and it's sent all around the world.
All right, Dan, that was such a fun tour. I learned so much.
Well, you know, it's what we do every day, which is that quality blends, classic Hawaiian flavors that evoke our home in the islands.
Yeah, and it's all made right here in Kalihi. Make sure you check it out at HiNowDaily.com. Cheers.
Cheers.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some cleanup stuff I need to do because I'm the cleanup man, not the cleanup woman. Some cleanup stuff I need to do before we get started with the next segment here. And one of those is I will never use the polling for Facebook ever again. I am not going to use the polling for Facebook ever again. It appears that whenever a conservative wants to do something positive in the name of God, it becomes highly disruptive to the community standards of Facebook. Anything that has to do with the Lord Jesus Christ is an abomination to the left, and they refuse to surrender to him. They will not bow. So, and Mary Brockman voted for God's purpose. Thank God you did, because I'm leading Bonnie on her movie. There is a battle between Bonnie and I in terms of the movie for this particular week. I chose God's Purpose. I chose that movie. She chose Cage No More. And right now, last night I was up 75 to like 25%. It's beginning to close in again. This is normally how it works. And today I'm at 60% and she's at 40% with her movie. All I ask that you do, even if you're not in the chat room, you can click on the link right now. You just click on that link. It will take you there. But I refuse to use the poll ever again for Facebook. I'm not going to do it. So what I've done is I've created the poll at The Exceptional Conservative Show. And you can click on TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com. You can look at it right now. You can scroll down. And it says TECN Sunday Night Movie, God's Purpose versus Cage No More. And so you see the editor's choice, which is a movie I selected. I'm the editor. I can do this. It's my network. I can do this. It's King David, the animated movie. So tell your boys and girls, get the kids together, get your popcorn. I'm going to have popcorn this time around. I'm going to pop it myself, and I want to sit here and I want to watch that movie. The animated movie, King David, at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. And then, after that, since we've gotten into, last week we did 2 movies, because by popular demand, the second movie came on. by People's Choice. It's a battle between Bonnie's film, Cage No More, and my film, God's Purpose. So you can click on the link that says vote, and you can choose who's going to watch what. It's your choice. It's your choice, people. And what am I looking at right now? Let me look at the results. Right now, 67% of the people voted for God's Purpose. So I'm leading this week. And I'm going to tell you, I couldn't take 2 weeks in a row losing on the People's Choice. Okay, so everybody go in there and vote for the People's Choice. Right now it's up 67% for God's Purpose, 33 for Cage No More. So I'm expecting that may change over time. Anybody can vote. It's fine. And I think you can only vote one time or whatever. I don't know how they work that system out, but I think you only vote one time. You can go directly to TheExceptionalConservativeShow.com and you can do it. And that's from now on, that's exactly where we would do the polling. We will not go to Facebook anymore. Facebook is an abomination to the conservative movement. We need to eradicate the dependency on Facebook. I'm going to ask that you vote directly here and do it as often as you possibly can. Get your family, get your friends. And this is the thing. If we all believe in Jesus, why can't we all sit around the living room and watch this particular movie? Or this group of movies. Why can't we watch these particular films with our family? I don't see why we don't, or why we can't. Ladies and gentlemen, remember we had Stephanie Whitmore on our program a few weeks ago, and it was for Belvedere's Delectables. Belvedere's Delectables. I put that in the chat room for everyone. What happened to the ultimate gift? There's copyright infringement problems with that, Mary. Copyright infringement problems, so I couldn't play it through our network. But if there's any other movie that I could play, I definitely will. So some people are a little sticklers when it comes to that copyright thing. They can won't let you play stuff, even though it's free on YouTube. They limit. Okay, now Belvedere Delectables. They were on my show. Can we get that? How to get in contact with Stephanie Whitmore? There you go. BelvedereDelectables.com. Her telephone number is 540-326-1810. 540-326-1810. BelvedereDelectables.com. And this is what she said. She said, "Dear Ken, this batch was made especially for you with a pinch of love, a sprinkle of brown sugar, a spoonful of maple, a dollop of pineapple, and a pop of bacon." There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, she came on, and they do side dishes. Now, 5% of what they make goes to multiple sclerosis. And I was expecting, when she told me that she was going to send me a jar, you know what I was thinking? She was going to send me something like this. You know, send you a little jar and say, "Yeah, enjoy. Yeah, have a good taste. Hey, you need to order something, you cheap little conservative." But this is what she sent me. That is huge. Belvedere Delectables. Side dishes and more. Belvedere Delectables. That thing is huge. And Mrs. Biggs doesn't know I'm opening this right now because she was running here. Oh my God! Mrs. Biggs, run in here real quick. Oh my! Oh, that smells so good. I need Mrs. Biggs in here. Mrs. Biggs. Calling Mrs. Biggs. Calling Mrs. Biggs. Oh, this is good. Oh, my God. You know how you open something and you just go like, you got to do that thing on TV like, ooh, it's nice. No, this stuff smells good. I think, can you eat it cold? Can you eat this cold? Mrs. Biggs, come here for a moment. Just smell this. It has to be endorsed by Mrs. Biggs. They have to. No one can see you. Come around. Come around. No one can see you. Oh my goodness. Smell that right there.
You can smell the brown sugar.
You can smell the brown sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Can you smell the pineapple too? You smell the. Oh my God. Oh, thank you. Will you endorse this, Mrs. Biggs?
Yes, I will.
There you go. There you go. What you all need to do is go to Belvedere Delectables. This is a commercial. I'm not even getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Side dishes and more. Side dishes and more. Oh my God, that smells so good. Oh my. Oh man, I should call her right now. I should, but I'm not going to do that. I'll do this on another show. I'll get her to come. Y'all want her to come back? I'll have her come back, and we will. Oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to tell you all right now because we got to go to station break. We got to go to Stephanie Whitmore. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call her and say thank you for sending this to Ken. And if you would, because it was endorsed by Mrs. Biggs. I don't go by what Ken says. I go by what Mrs. Biggs says. Because it was endorsed by her, I would like some. BelvedereDelectables.com. 540-326-1810. There. Wow. And she mailed that stuff to me so quickly. Oh my God. This stuff is good. This stuff is good. You know what they say at 10 o'clock? Do you know who your children are? The better question for your children, at least they should be asking, do you know where my parents are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I'm Paul Stanley of KISS. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I'm Councilman Eric Joya. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Help make a safer, stronger DC. Whether it's a missing person, an unsolved homicide, or keeping citizens safe, there are a number of cases that are still unsolved. Please take a moment to listen to this one.
On Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at approximately 9:40 p.m., 27-year-old D.C. resident Sharnice Milton was shot and killed in the 2700 block of Good Hope Road Southeast. The victim, a journalist for Capital Community News, was changing buses on her way home from covering a meeting. Police believe someone on a dirt bike fired at Ms. Milton, but that she was not the intended target. The Metropolitan Police Department currently offers a reward of up to $25,000 to anyone that provides information which leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons wanted for any homicide in the District of Columbia.
If you have information about this case, contact the Metropolitan Police Department, 202-727-9099, and an anonymous text number, 50411.
It's been 27 years, and I don't know what happened to him.
Ramona Torres and husband Henry still are at a loss as to who shot and killed their son, then 21-year-old Henry Jr.
You wouldn't want to go through the heartache that I have to, my family has to go through.
The shooting happened here in this North Stockton parking lot in what used to be known as the Breakaway Bar. It was November 30th, 1991, an early Saturday morning. And according to Henry's mother, Ramona, Henry and his friends were simply hanging out.
He was shot in the back and several times, and his friend was shot 6 times, point blank, and he's paralyzed.
Henry Torres Jr.'s case is one of more than 500 unsolved cases from the San Joaquin County Grand Jury's report entitled Cold Cases in San Joaquin County on the Back Burner. Among the findings, 12 homicide victims' remains are unidentified. Cold case investigations, quote, rarely result in case closure, and there is insufficient staffing and funding for cold case investigations due primarily to, quote, financial limitations and lack of priority.
I go to a support group, Victims of Violent Crime, and there was a lady there that her dad was killed, I believe, 43 years ago, and it's unsolved. That's a long time.
Among the grand jury recommendations, the sheriff's office hire at least 3 full-time detectives, the district attorney hiring at least 2 full-time detectives, and Stockton Police hiring at least 3 full-time detectives by the end of the year, solely devoted to solving cold case murders. The grand jury also suggests the district attorney establish a cold case task force no later than March of next year.
I started the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network in 2008, and we put this together for us. The concept was that if one of us armed citizens are involved in a self-defense incident, then we have a network of individuals behind that person in order to help them get through the legal fight, if necessary, after the incident.
Deal with the aftermath of a deadly force encounter where they have survived the initial fight to save their lives and are now working very hard to be able to save their futures as well.
What really has impressed me is the boots on the ground side of it. Having had some small part in some of the cases where ACLDN has come in and helped people who are in trouble, I've seen Marty Hayes' vision for this organization fulfilled.
Last year, one of my students had called upon me, ACLDN services, after he was forced into a fatal defensive shooting. He was guided through the process. His rights were protected by a network-provided attorney and got through the entire legal process without any real difficulties. Now it's behind him. He's able to move on with his life.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad that you're here with me tonight. Listen, we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then to the socialists or the tyrants, however way you wish to say it. I'm yours, truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. Mary Brockman, my bouncer-in-chief, is in the hizzy. She's in that chat room. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed from our program. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jane Ruby is in the green room. She's ready to come up in just a few minutes. In fact, in about 12 minutes, we'll be talking with her about her trek to Israel. And just one more time, just that. That smells good. That smells good. There you go. Second hour, there you go. Belvedere Delectables, there you go. Belvedere Delectables, side dishes and more, there you go. Ooh, that's some good stuff there, boy. That's good stuff. I just have this desire now to eat that. I want to eat it cold, but I'm not going to do that. I'll save it for maybe this weekend. We'll do some dogs and burgers and eat the side dish there. But I got a hankering for that. But that smells good. It looks good. You can smell the peaches. It's just there you go. Jane Ruby spent some time in Israel. She's coming on to talk about that time, and we're going to go through a lot of the things that Israel faces, the reality of living in the Promised Land. It is a very difficult proposition in our day and age, especially since you have individuals whose intent is to murder or kill or destroy you every single moment of the day. They're not interested in peace. They're actually interested in pieces. They're interested in watching the country fall to the wayside. Israel has survived with all of its enemies surrounding her. Israel has survived. And so I'm telling you, one of the great warriors of the conservative movement is Dr. Jane Ruby, and I can't think of a better person to come by and talk with us about Israel and the plight it faces, and because of whom they believe in, how they will never surrender and never be broken. I just hope that they would just stop giving away land. Just stop giving away your land. Keep your land. Tell the Palestinian wannabes to live in one of the other Arab nations. There are over 40 Arab nations surrounding Israel. You mean to tell me there's not enough land or property available for? And when you listen to the Jordanians, when they talk about the quote-unquote Palestinians, they don't want them there. Really? No, we don't want to settle them into our neighborhoods. Are you crazy? Those people are cuckoos. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. No, we don't want them in here. In terms of last night, I did a show on the second hour I did about Dr. Martin Luther King. And we have Michael Hughes, who's on Facebook now, and Michael Hughes can't stop going against me. He just can't stop. This is what he has to say about my work on Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, "Why would anyone believe this crap coming from the people who don't have fathers?" What do we call them? That tried to destroy all of our prominent organization. And it's amazing how devoted the left is to James Comey, Peter Strzok, and the rest of the stooges that attempted a coup of Donald Trump. You know how connected they are to them and how they support the FBI. But when it comes to Dr. Martin Luther King and tapes, ladies and gentlemen, tapes, we can't You can't believe the FBI. You just can't. It is gluteus maximus out stupid to believe and promote this nonsense. They recently did this stuff to Gandhi, thing that I found out in that silly gluteus maximus effort is that this type of BS won't stand up to the truth. Really? It's amazing that he says that, and it's amazing that Dr. Michael Hughes sounds a whole lot like Michael A. Brown. Well, we don't know what Michael A. Brown would say because he's not here to say anything. And so I just want to take a few minutes because a lot of people would say, Ken, you're just making this stuff up. And I'm going to give you the PDF coming directly from the person who wrote it. He's a leftist who wrote the autobiography of Dr. Martin Luther King. He writes an article that will be coming out, I believe, this weekend or the beginning of next week in a London magazine called The Troubling Legacy of Martin Luther King. And now I want you to understand why they did that. They floated it overseas. They would not float that here. No. The left is too smart for that. They're floating the balloon over there so that it can seep back over this way. You get it? Because none of the left wants to come out and say we were supportive of them doing the story. They don't want to be caught up in all that. They rather debate whether men have a right to an opinion on abortion. So, as I told you all last night, and Dave Milner agreed with me, we concur that in order to have brown shirts, you need to have people who are just angry and bitter and violent. The nonviolent icon, Dr. Martin Luther King, doesn't fit with the new Democrat-Socialist Party. Doesn't fit. In addition to that, it is payback time for black people that did not come out and vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Payback is a real itch. And that's why they're floating it overseas to seep back this way. They don't want to tell you that that's what it is, but it is payback because what they're trying to do is not only tear down a statue or tear down an icon like Bill Cosby, they're going after the king. Now, in the troubling legacy of Martin Luther King, it is written, okay, it is written that Dr. Martin Luther King, well, he enjoyed sex and sexuality. Can we go with that? Because Mrs. Biggs had a look on her face last night when I walked in after doing this show or whatever, and it's like, you are you. Yes, I am. According to this, David Garrow writes, newly released documents reveal the full extent of the FBI surveillance of the civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King in the mid-1960s. And I want you all to know that I'm opposed to their surveillance because he didn't commit a crime. His crime, if there ever was one, was his communist opinions. Okay? But that's not a crime. It's a false opinion. It's a false mindset, but it's not a crime. They expose in graphic detail the FBI's intense focus on King's extensive extramarital sexual relationships with dozens of women, and also his presence in a Washington hotel room when a friend, a Baptist minister, allegedly raped one of his parishioners while King looked on, laughed, and offered advice. Now, I'm just telling you exactly what's written, and I'm going to put it in here in the chat room for you all to follow along at home, because I know some of you all are like, oh, clutch the pearls. No, he isn't talking like that. Yes. On January 31st, 1977, U.S. District Judge John Lewis Smith signed an extraordinary court order requiring the Federal Bureau of Investigation to surrender all the fruits of its extensive electronic surveillance of Martin Luther King Jr. to the National Archives. Said tapes and documents, Smith instructed, shall be maintained by the archivists of the United States under seal for a period of 50 years, or until January 31st, 2027. Now, why do you think 50 years? Because at that time period, the civil rights generation was already entering its 40th. They're about 40 years old, 30 to 40 years old. They're estimating you add another 50 years of that. These people are not going to be around or interested in anything that has to be said about the icon. And then a generation will go by and not know who Dr. King is. And you can ask Mrs. Biggs, any kids in her school right now don't know who Dr. King is, except for there's a street named after him, and that's about it. And they got a museum or something around the corner or something. That's all we know. Hundreds of never-before-seen FBI reports and surveillance summaries concerning King have silently slipped into public view on the archive's lightly annotated and difficult-to-explore website. This has occurred thanks to the provisions of the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act, which mandated the public release of tens of thousands of government documents. So this is, okay, this is your federal government at work. It despite what the judge said, you can look at it. And then you have to make your own guesstimate in terms of what was said. But this is key here. When King had stayed at Jones's wiretap Bronx home to work on his soon-to-be famous I Have a Dream speech, as one internal FBI memo reported, King, who is married, maintains intimate relationships with at least 3 women, one in Atlanta, one in Mount Vernon, New York, and one in Washington, D.C. King's extramarital affairs while posing as a minister of the gospel leave him highly susceptible to coercion and possible blackmail. Where did we hear that before? Was that not said during the impeachment of William Jefferson Clinton? Yes, it was. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to commercial break. We're going to talk with Dr. Jane Ruby about her wonderful, wonderful trip to Israel and how she can expose to all of us here at home the truth of what's going on in Israel and why we need to be more friendly with them than ever before. We'll be right back for more of the best. And then in the fourth quarter, I will continue to talk with you about the King situation. You got to. You just got to.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you think of a Mediterranean princess, you can only think of one person. That person is Dr. Jane Ruby, who spent a couple of weeks in Israel on a dramatic journey, not only back into integrity, but at the concerns of modern Israel for its very well-being. I want to introduce to some, present to others, the great Dr. Jane Ruby. You look great. Look at that. Israel. I love the hat. I love the hat. Did you bring three? Did you bring three? So bring one for me, and then I got to sell the other one.
Well, this is actually your gift. I just thought I would model it tonight.
It looks wonderful. I love it. I love it.
This is your new hat, and it's nicely made. The Israelis don't do anything cheap.
I know.
Has a nice front background. There you go. Isn't that gorgeous? See, new tag. It is yours.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so very much. Listen, you scared the bejeebers out of me when you did one of your reports from Israel. And the day before, 2 Israeli soldiers had been stabbed by Muslims. And as you were walking, there were fighter planes flying above you. You just did this for the kicks, didn't you? You just went to Israel for the kicks.
No. I went to Israel. A lot of people don't know the breadth of this trip. I went to Israel with a group of U.S. intelligence experts, national security people, and some real patriotic Americans. And this was a border security fact-finding mission. So when I found out I had the opportunity to go to every one of Israel's borders, I was just thrilled. I couldn't pass it up. And so I'm going to have a lot of reports in the weeks to come. I really appreciate being on your show tonight, Ken, to kind of, break open the summary of the trip. And I since TECN was one of my sponsors for the trip, as folks know, I did send back some exclusives for you last week, and you did see me on the top of a bunker. And I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. I did climb, at the taunting of a colleague of mine, I did climb a bunker, and we got to the top of it, and I looked over, and there was the double fence between Israel and Lebanon. And I looked, and I realized we were vulnerable. We were on the top of this mountain a bunker like two idiots. And I said to him, could we get shot up here? And he said, yes. And I said, well, then let's hurry up and turn the camera on. Let's get the shot. I shouldn't laugh, but because this is a very serious thing for the Israelis. They're very serious about security. When I show you what I brought on for tonight, you and the viewers will not believe. When people say pray for Israel, Israel is just literally a mile or two in some places away from certain borders, and it takes like 3 minutes to fly in a jet from one end of the width of the country, something like 3 to 5 minutes or something like that. But when you see how vulnerable they are, you'll understand. And one of our guides, who we learned at the end, which was no big surprise to me, was fully armed. But he acted like sort of a bus driver and a guide, is a former IDF commander. He's very famous, actually, for another reason. He was the architect, Colonel Danny Tirza, Tirza, There have been articles written about him. He was the architect of almost every major wall and fence at Israel's borders. So we're incredibly honored to have him as our guide for the 10 days. Just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know where to start. I did give you some photos that I want to share with people tonight.
Exactly.
Maybe we could go through the first 3 or 4, or a little bit, just the first couple of days in Tel Aviv. We had a little R&R. I wanted to show folks, this is the beach. The beaches of Tel Aviv run, right across, most of the country, and they're absolutely beautiful, and they're incredibly packed. When you see the next picture, you'll see, I think it's the next picture, we have, well, this is in the evening. I ended up spending 2 days. I got there 2 days early, and I spent 2 days on the beach, and this is an evening shot. We just couldn't bring ourselves to leave. It was so incredibly beautiful. And people are joyous, they're happy, and they spend, they spent the weekend on the beach. I got there on a Friday, and our tour didn't start until Sunday night, so I had part of Friday and all day Saturday. Now, one of the other pictures is I caught up with one of my buddies, as everybody knows, Laura Loomer, who has a lot going on. She's considering running for Congress in Florida, but I met Laura on the beach, of course, planned it Friday morning after I landed, and we just no pressures, no work discussions. We just relaxed. This is us one of those nights having dinner on the beach with a bunch of our sort of the pre-crew of this organization, and it was great to catch up with her. So, and then the series after that. So I wanted to share with you. Thanks for putting this picture up. This is a picture of Israel, as you can see, and I'm sure that anybody can just go to Google and look this up. But I wanted to guide your viewers a little bit to what this is. In the orange, you have Israel. This is actually an older map. I think I have a better one. Is there another map? Click on, if possible. There's one more. I think this was my accident. Here it is. This is today. Okay, so you can see up at the top, Israel is bordered on the north by Lebanon. Sorry for my Periscope folks. They can't see the. If I can turn it around, I'm doing this live. Let me show them the map. You can see the map. So Israel is bordered. If you could go back to that that map, I share some information with everybody on it. That last map. So Israel is bordered on the north by Lebanon, and then to the northeast by Syria, and then you can see the Golan Heights is that little area that's all kind of with lines going through it. That's what President Trump just declared the U.S. recognized as belonging to Israel, which is wonderful. And in the orange, the 2 orange spaces, the big chunk in the middle is Judea and Samaria, or otherwise known as the West Bank, and that is Palestinian controlled. You can see that Jerusalem is tucked into this little spot, and actually Jerusalem used to be inside that West Bank. And I heard you say in your previous segment that you wish Israel would stop giving away so much land. I think they have stopped, but I agree with you, they gave away way too much when they gave away the Sinai Peninsula, which actually is this section from here in Egypt, which is now Egypt. But you can see this other little orange strip on the left, on the ocean shore. That is the Gaza Strip, okay? That is the Gaza Strip. And I want to share some information about, there's another picture that you have, Ken, with the 3 flags, if you can show everybody that.
Most certainly.
Okay. I'm kind of hijacking Ken's show tonight, but
that's what you're here for.
Well, I want to share so much with everyone. I want you to understand that the Palestinians, they bitch and moan about a 2-state solution. They already have a state. It's called Gaza. Israel doesn't occupy it. Israel doesn't own it, and they gave it up a long time ago. The Palestinians have totally failed, though, to create any semblance of a state or any kind of civil society. It's important to understand that Lebanon is ruled by Hezbollah, which is a corrupt kleptocracy. They're just a corrupt bunch of pigs that just run the country and trap the people.
Mhm.
And it's down in Gaza, where you saw the little Gaza Strip. That's run by Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. That's their flag, that little yellow one. And the third one you saw in that picture was the Palestinian flag, which runs lots of areas, but in particular, the PLO runs a lot of Gaza, and it also runs the West Bank. So anyway, I want people to understand that Israel is bordered by Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, Gaza, and the West Bank. And the point of the story is they are bordered all the way around by hostile neighbors, and the majority of which, even Jordan, it's not exactly a love fest. And but some of the more hostile areas, the terrorists, the Islamists, in these other areas want nothing more than for Israel to disappear from the face of the earth. So I wanted everybody to see that and see how many borders there were. And we went to every one of these borders. And
Now,
I did get shot.
If I could
Yeah.
ask a question here, Dr. Jane.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be quiet now.
Oh, no, please. Dr. Jane and I are like this. This is cool. But there are people who have been told here by the Hamas 5 on Capitol Hill.
The Hamas caucus?
Yeah, exactly. That Israel is practicing genocidal oppression, and they are doing everything they can to destroy the Palestinians, which amazingly they came up with that name. The Palestinians, right. They are bombing.
Let me stop you for 1 minute because you raised the issue of Palestinians. There is no such thing as Palestinians, but if you really want to use the word, go back to ancient history. And we could do a whole show on this. In fact, I'll probably do a whole show on this on Dr. James DC sometime, but not right away. But the ancient times, the Palestinians were the Hebrews, were the Jews in that region. So anyway, I apologize for interrupting, but I thought that was an important distinction for
That's why I wanted you on tonight, because there's a lot of misinformation. Yeah. And when misinformation is delivered on the House floor or the Senate floor, it appears dangerous to be legitimate. Or when it's spoken by a representative of our U.S. government, it is taken as legitimate. But the oppression is not inward of the Jews over the quote-unquote Palestinians. It's vice versa. Am I correct?
Absolutely 100% correct. In fact, while we stayed on the Sea of Galilee in a hotel for 2 nights, only about 30 or 40 miles from the Golan, but just alongside the Golan Heights, where I showed you up north, Syria, you can see that Syria is the main border there. Syria was lobbing rockets at night. Now, we were too far away to hear them, and they threw them over about 4 a.m., but they were met with an equal and swift response by the Israeli military. In fact, if I had to criticize Israel for anything, to be honest with you, Ken, I would criticize Israel for being too nice. And what I mean by that, we said to them after that Syrian attack, and we felt very affected by it since we were just a few miles away and we were in the country. We said, look, we know you've got the capability. Why don't you just take them out? Like, take out 10 times what you took out and quiet them down for 10 years. And you know what they said to us? They said, we just want, we're very sensitive to world view and the opinion that people have. And we don't want to fuel the fact that, we'll get criticized. And you know what I said? I said, you're going to take the hit anyway. You might as well wipe them out.
Yeah.
Just blast them.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Dr. J. Wait a minute.
A little frustrated. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
I think I heard that type of advice from someone before in the Torah. Wait a minute. Wasn't it God who said this? Eliminate them, wipe them out.
I mean, I think once and for all that they should do that. We went to the Gaza. I want to say one other thing to address your question about whether Israel is being genocidal. Quite the opposite. We went to a security, like a crossing, they call it. It was not on our schedule. We were not allowed to film, but I remember it and I did get a couple of pictures before we were told not to, and I might be able to share them at some point if I blur out the people's faces for their safety. But this crossing was a huge complex with these giant cement walls, and there was no roof, and there were multiple sections of these walls, and they called them rooms. And in each of the rooms, you'd find like thousands of tons of water, of drinks, of food, of concrete, of building supplies that were sent over to Gaza, to the Gaza side. Now, we couldn't get close to the gates as they actually opened up, but we saw the whole complex. We spoke to the leadership there, and we asked them why they were helping, and they said, well, we're neighbors. I mean, there are people on the other side that are trapped and oppressed, and right up to the Gaza line is where Hamas leaves a lot of, the citizens there, the people there, to just, fend for themselves, and they pay them to lob the rockets. Whereas deeper in Hamas, and it doesn't take much to see it, Israel is genius with drones. This is me at the Lebanon border with the head of the United West group that heads up the tour. This is the border of Lebanon. This is Tom Trento. And I interviewed an Israeli soldier right on this line. And now this picture you're seeing right now, I'll just turn it around for the folks on Periscope. This picture is of me at the Jordanian border. And I'm just looking beyond, where you see the road end beyond the fence is about where Jordan starts. And the reason they put up these fences here is not necessarily, they're not at war with Jordan like they are, taking hits from Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. They put these up because they don't want to be invaded by, migrants, terrorists, whatever, that try to come across by taking advantage of a friendly border. Now, this is the guard that I interviewed, and when I said to him, how old are you? And he said to me, I'm 19 years old. It just blew me away. I mean, this is a young Israeli kid who's like 10 years younger than my own kid, and he's guarding the Lebanese border. And when I asked him, what if he saw anything serious, I said, is this a dangerous border? And he kind of smiled and he said, well, it depends on the day and it depends on what's happening. So you can see that there's a lot more. I was so grateful to see it for myself, and to not depend on all the stories like everybody else is one way or the other. And so I have so many more stories to tell. I have so much more information. We'll get it out over the weeks to come.
Exactly.
But it's just so important. And I wanted to share with you, this is me at Caesarea up by Haifa, which is just across the Mediterranean cove there. It's like an inlet, and that's the border of Lebanon. The reason I'm able to be so relaxed in these pictures is because Israel is heavily guarded, heavily surveilled. They not only have fences, while we're arguing with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the pigs in Congress, they put up, not only do they put up fences, but they put up ammunition boxes on poles. They can, if somebody breaches their border, they can just hit a button and shoot them down, remotely. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And the amount, their fences are, they're sensor pressure, they're pressure sensitive to touch. And I want to tell you something about the tunnels. We went up to the Golan, and there's a borderline with Syria, right? And you could see the Hezbollah flags, and you could see the homes. And guess what? The homes have no windows or doors because they're not really livable homes. They're shells. They're shells for like mortar blasters and artillery and and bombs and rocket launchers and things like that. But they build these tunnels, and they build them underground, and they fill them, Ken, with AC, electricity, living room furniture, kitchens. And guess what? Israel lets them go for a couple of years. They know these tunnels are being built for several years, and they wait until they fill them up with all these goodies and ammunition, and then when they dig like little rats underneath and they get into the Israeli soil, the territory, that's when they blast the living hell out of it, and they leave it as just a big plain wall. And I said to them, why do you wait so long? And, it could be dangerous. And they said, no, we let them fill it up with all their goodies and spend all their money, and then we blast it and destroy it. I thought that was
You speak about money here, and this is a tremendous joy, not just because she's a great friend, and also a network advisor for TECN TV, but she's just a wonderful woman, Dr. Jane Ruby, who is the author of a great book, See a New Media, and has been our correspondent. That's a beautiful book. There you go. Must
so
be
much.
read. Must be read.
Whoops. Must be read.
See a New Media. And I pray someday that she's our White House correspondent. I am praying on that and hoping that to happen. But Jane, there are people here tonight that say that you and I are biased, that we don't see Israel for what Israel does to the people, and that there is no place in the world that the quote-unquote Palestinians can go to. The only place they have is their quote-unquote homeland, and the foreigner is the Israeli, and they must be eliminated and pushed out. Why does Europe and other NATO entities like Turkey support that mentality? And why are the Democrat-Socialists here at home, including Bernie Sanders, promoting that same mentality?
Okay, to learn why they're promoting that same mentality, what you've just described is the marriage of the left, the Democrats, the leftists, the communists, the socialists, the marriage of them with Islam. And you have to understand that this is an intentional relationship. Even though they have very different values, the left is very liberal, and Islam is Sharia law, which is barbaric, and I don't even want to describe it. You can read it. You have to read a book by David Horowitz called The Unholy Alliance. It'll explain how that came to be. And I think we need to be very, very aware of it. But when you ask me about Israel and how there's a claim that these Palestinians have nowhere to go, by the way, you want a two-state solution? You already have a two-state solution. It's called Gaza. They own Gaza, like I said before. Israel does not occupy Gaza. It actually sends some of the only water and electricity they get over there because of their corrupt Hamas leadership that takes all the foreign aid and they live in mansions. They have their state, but what they fail to do is to do anything constructive with it. One of the Israeli government officials said that as soon as Israel got their land, got the beginning of their land back after the 1947 agreements, they built an airport, they built a water treatment center, they built a communications center, they started building defense. So they started thinking and protecting, developing, what they needed for their country. No one in Gaza has done that. It's because it's about a corrupt ideology. And Gaza, they have Gaza. They have all those other Arab countries surrounding Israel. Like you said, they have plenty of land all around them. They can go live, they got open amnesty, they can go live in any of those other Arab countries. They also, I want to mention one other thing. Israel's been accused of apartheid. Yeah. I watched thousands, let me just say thousands, of Muslim women sashaying around in their burqas, their hijabs, okay, all over Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, unfettered, undisturbed, with their little shopping bags. I didn't see any evidence of apartheid. They move freely in the country, yes, and they enjoy all the fruits of Israeli democracy. So it just burns my you-know-what to hear people say that when I witnessed Muslims living better than they've ever lived before under any kind of terrorist regime like Hezbollah or Hamas.
I think you
And
so
by the way,
aptly.
I just got blocked today by Care National, so I consider that a badge of honor.
You go, girl. You are one step away from being blockaded from going to Mecca.
I'm really upset. I'm going to get in trouble.
No soup for you.
No soup.
There's a joy that you possess that I pray someday to have myself. And that is the opportunity to have stood before the Wailing Wall.
Mm.
I want you to explain to our fellow patriotic Americans what it was like for a Mediterranean princess like you to go to the Wailing Wall and leave your prayer.
Yes, for those who don't know, the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall is the last remaining wall of the Second Temple of Jerusalem after the first one was destroyed. I'll tell you much more about that maybe in another show, but I have to tell you that I believe there's an energy vortex, and I do believe that everything comes from God. So I just believe it's such a powerful convergence of energy. And I went to the Wailing Wall probably 3 times while I was there. I went Jerusalem Day was on Sunday, and Fatah, the radical Islamic group, terrorist group, had threatened that they were going to kill Jews by the thousands if they dared gather. But it was beautiful. The square was filled. I think I sent them home to you for the show, but it was filled with tens of thousands of joyous Israelis. I jumped into, we danced. People had beautiful scarves. There was a band, beautiful Israeli music. But when I went the couple times the days before, it's quiet. You go when you walk up to this wall. It looks like any other ancient wall, and there are lots of cracks and crevices. And people over the years have put in, wad up a little. You pray, just something that you pray for, maybe someone who's ill, and you roll it up and you put it in the little cracks. There's thousands and thousands of these papers like crammed in. But here's the point of the story. I put my hands on the wall. It's just not respectful to take a lot of pictures because, it's a holy site. You don't go into a church or something and have somebody, go right up and take your picture while you're praying. But here's the point. So I put my hands on the wall, and I hadn't been to the wall 30 years. And I just don't remember the majesty of it. And I put my hands on the wall, and I put my forehead against the wall, and I felt this surge. The only way I can describe it to you is from the top of my head down to my toes. I felt this surge of an electricity, not a painful, like a shock, but a definite electricity that just went through my entire body, and it was almost life-giving. It was refreshing. And I remember looking up, it's probably like 20, 30 stories. And I looked up, it was a sunny day. You can see a little bit of, greenage kind of growing out. And I just felt, my prayer was for the soul of my mother, who I lost last year. And I know she would be really touched to know that I was there for her. And I just, said, hope she's with God and the angels and all that. But so for me, it was an incredible experience. And people are, there are many, many Jews that are praying, non-Jews. Everyone's so touched by it. It's a powerful experience. And I do hope you get to go someday.
I pray so. The holy city, Jerusalem, is now home to the U.S. Embassy.
Yes.
To Jerusalem.
Yes.
Besides the august and quick nature, the majestic construction that was built at the hands of Donald John Trump, one of America's great builders. It ticked off a whole lot of people in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You visited the holy city, Jerusalem.
Yes.
What's the temperature? What is the life? What is the expectations of Jew and Gentile in that city?
Well, those are two different questions. The embassy is beautiful. It was already actually an existing building that was used for transition, acculturation. But there were no American flags on the front entrance, and that was the first thing I noticed. And I asked about that, and they said that they wanted to keep the tensions down, and they didn't want to call too much attention to the building. So I wasn't happy about that political correctness. But it does have a big, beautiful seal, and it says it has a tribute, like a stone plaque that's a tribute to President Trump, and that he, was responsible for this. And the beautiful seal of the United States up higher on the building. And we took some pictures, and it was absolutely, it's beautiful because it sits up high in an area of Jerusalem that overlooks a great portion of the city. So it was a beautiful spot. Thank you, President Trump. It was a great choice, and I'm really, really proud of it. As for the temperature in the city, I say accidentally because I learned later on from natives there that you don't want to get into a cab with a Palestinian driver. And I'll tell you why. That's not a prejudice or thing to say. But we accidentally, the first day, I went with Karen Vaughn, who was the mother of Aaron Vaughn. If you know, he was part of SEAL Team 6, unfortunately, that took out bin Laden, but unfortunately months later was shot down with his entire team. But anyway, Karen and her husband Billy were there for a commemorative tree planting ceremony at the Jordan River, which I accompanied her. And I'll have another story on that coming up soon. But anyway, I fell in love with they're both incredible people, and what they've done with their son's loss was amazing. But Karen and I got a taxi to go to the wall because she had some prayers to put in. And we were I didn't realize it, but we were with a Palestinian driver, and I naively kind of said, so it sounds, the city's so beautiful, it seems like everyone's getting along. And he got very, very angry and kind of brusque and said, oh no, we don't get along. Who and what am I really talking to? And he turned to the back seat to the two of us and said, don't worry, we'll be back. Now, I thought of saying, good luck with that, buddy, but I didn't want to get thrown out of another taxi like I was with Laura Loomer in 2017. We asked each other when we were going to have Rosh Hashanah dinner, and the Muslim Uber driver kicked us out. How do I know he's Muslim? Because he had a very Orthodox traditional garb on, the long white dress and the cap and the long beard. And we got into Uber. We didn't think much of it, but anyway, he wasn't amused that he had two Jewish women in the cab, so he tossed us out on our ear. So we were a repeat of that. So I sipped it and kept my mouth shut, looked at Karen and said, we'll get off at the corner. Thanks a lot. So it can be very, very dangerous to be there.
Do you believe, and we got about a minute left, but do you believe you are a strong woman, very independent woman? Do you believe that you may have influenced someone who's under the oppression of a hijab, when they looked at you, said, that's what I want to be?
No.
Wow.
No, and I'll tell you why. One of the people on our trip was a former FBI agent and former Marine intelligence officer, John Guandolo. And if anyone recognizes his name, it's because he was kicked off of Twitter permanently. He started an organization called Understanding the Threat. I really want to put a plug in for John's book. It's called Islam's Deception. I hope I'm doing this right in the camera. Okay.
Yes.
Whoops.
Move it up just a little bit. There we go.
Okay. Islam's Deception, The Truth About Islam. He the last night we were there, John, you can see John's picture here. He did a presentation for our group.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, there were other people there that were heavy hitters, like Philip Haney. I did a full Dr. Jane's DC show on Philip Haney. Philip Haney's a founder of the Department of Homeland Security, and he wrote a book called See Something, Say Nothing, the West, the succumbing to Islam. What John Guandolo said to us was, it's not radical Islam, it's Islam.
Yank.
And that's what we're all going to eventually get yanked off of these platforms for. But he said to us, just because you have a friend who has second thoughts about Sharia law, who might not want the extreme of Sharia, that does not constitute a new form of Islam. Islam is Islam, and everybody needs to read the Quran. They are commanded. Let me say this again for your audience. They are commanded by their religious law to kill us. You might say, oh, Jane, that's so dramatic. You're a conspiracy. You know what, guys? Go read it. Go read the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's not figurative. It's very literal. Muhammad, who married a child at 7 and then slept with her at 9,
Mm-hmm.
he was considered, and it says in the Quran, he's the ideal man. Okay, and the rest of Sharia. So when I say to you, I know I know you, my friend, you're probably a little surprised that I said no, because that woman might look at me or any other Western woman and say, wow, I'd really like to be like her, or I'd like to be freer. But ultimately, they are under their Quran, and it's not going to happen. It might happen under Taqiyya, the law that says they can lie, rip off a hijab, be sexy, just to take down a non-Muslim. But other than that's never going to happen. And like John Guandolo just stunned me when he showed us all this proof, all this information, and he said, it's Islam.
And
they're commanded.
Jane, I wanted to ask that question of you because of the romancing of the conservative. The left knows its partnership. The devil recognizes Satan, period. And they work together for their own common. But there are so many conservatives who have been romanced by compassionate conservatism that believes that if we remain politically correct, if we just sing kumbaya, if we all just hold hands and pray together to the same God, because it's all one God, then we'll have peace. There shall be no peace until the enemy is utterly destroyed. Am I right about that?
Let me explain something to you. Muslims have different definitions. If you read the Quran, what peace means is when the entire world is under Islam and Sharia law. So when they say, we want peace, we're working toward peace, you need to understand how they're defining it. And there are many other terms. I'm going to get the list from Guandolo, and if I can get him on my show, he's so busy, I'm going to get him on the show to explain it. But if you understand that to them, peace means the entire world being under Islam and Sharia law, then they're really duping us to some degree, or we're duping ourselves if we believe that they really mean peacefully coexisting. There is no peaceful coexistence.
Now,
if you're not Muslim.
I'm going to get into a lot of trouble. I got into a lot of trouble last night because of what I said about Dr. Martin Luther King being a bisexual and a communist. So I'm used to it. That's what I do.
I thought he was a conservative Republican.
I was thinking, don't invite Snoop Dogg to the Wailing Wall because the only thing he's going to roll up is a joint to put it in there. But the bottom line is we have allowed ourselves, because there are Muslims or Islamists who are running as Republicans. And we have Republicans and conservatives that are trying to apologize and tell us that if we support that person, then we're doing a good thing because this person will be an ambassador to the rest. And they will all tell them why, Jane. Tell them why.
The Muslim, okay, first of all, there is every Muslim organization, Muslim Students Association, all the way down, everything is under the Muslim Brotherhood.
Thank you.
I want you all to go to just Google. You don't even have to go to the website. There's a document on the Center for Security Policy website, but you can find it anywhere on the internet. It's a document that was found in a raid right here in Annandale, Virginia, right around the corner from D.C. It's a long story, but it's an interesting one. You can probably find the story online. But there was a document found called the Explanatory Memorandum, and it's from the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's teaching. It teaches all the different steps about infiltrating, creating organizations, running for office, changing the language. You know, there were people in the Obama administration that he brought in that changed the language from radical Islamic terrorism to violent extremism, things like that, whitewashing the language out of the FBI, the Pentagon, and the CIA. These are dangerous things. You have to call the enemy what it is. So, you know, there's just so much, there's so much we can talk about. But one of the main things, after Guandolo got done with this whole presentation, we were just sitting there with our mouths open, some of us who were hearing it for the first time and seeing the proof. And we said, is there any hope at all? What should we be doing? And he said, don't bother yourself with worrying about the fights around, you know, people, you know, criticizing President Trump and that high-level federal stuff. He can take care of himself. They'll take care of it on that level. Meanwhile, your state and local governments are being infiltrated by Muslims. All Muslims believe in the Quran. They might not be following all of it right now, but they are believing in it. And so I want you to be aware of that. You need to primary them out. You need to get Republican conservatives to run against them. You need to be careful of rhinos, because rhinos are in collaboration with the left. They're dangerous. Like Barbara Comstock here in Virginia was always dangerous. She turned out to be a never Trumper, but it's in perfect alignment with who she is. So she's an example. But you have to attack it, John said, from your local levels. You have to start attacking it at the local level. And we have some serious people here. There's a woman named Abrar Omesh who's running for office in Northern Virginia. There's the guy, forgot his first name, Issamia, they call him Sammy. He just became a Virginia delegate. These are Muslim Brotherhood people. Their parents and their grandparents. This is the next generation. So, I mean, we have this people. There is no such thing as moderate Islam.
Thank you.
There's only Islam.
There's only life and death. And you are given the option when you pray to Muhammad, life or death. You will either submit and surrender, or you will die. There are no other options.
It's convert or die. And once they're like fire ants. You know, fire ants in Texas?
Yes.
By themselves, you wouldn't barely feel them if they bit you. But what they do is they gather for a mission. Say they'll gather around your foot when you're not, and they're so light that you can't feel them. But when they all get into position, one ant sends out an auditory signal, and they all bite at once. And that's what they're doing. They're infiltrating all of our local and regional elections and offices, and they're going to start to change laws. It's going to become very dangerous. We've got to be aware of this now and try to turn it around. And there are many Muslims, for example, running in South Florida in different districts that are unopposed on the Democratic ticket. And I'm sure there are a few up here in Northern Virginia. But this is, I'll tell you what scared me the most out of my trip. It wasn't the rockets coming in from Syria. It wasn't looking down, through the little passageway into Gaza. It wasn't looking at, the guards with the way they hold their automatic weapons in Israel is they don't hold them down and walk around with them, okay? They actually hold them like they're ready to use them. None of those things really, scared me more than when Guandolo informed us about what the realities were and what could possibly happen if we don't pay attention, especially on the local level, and how their mission is one mission and one mission only. It's in one word: tunnel vision. Sharia. It's scary, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jane Ruby, who I just adore. I am so glad she's on our network. She's our Miss Israel. And we're welcoming her back. We thank God she's back. She's part of Election 2020 here at TCN TV. You can watch her on Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TECN TV, TheExceptionalConservative.com, the place that you can go to. What a great joy it is to have Dr. Jane with us tonight, and we look forward to her return to the network after she gets some rest. I mean, she's really been doing a great job covering everything.
And thank you so much, and thanks for having me. And also, you're not going to believe this, and I'll close with this, because we're not going to have a Dr. Jane's DC tonight, because we went over, and I'll have a lot of great stuff for you next Tuesday. But I wanted to say, I want to put a plug in for an app called Time Shifter. I used it. You put in your flights. It tells you what to do, what not to do in a day or two before. I had no jet lag when I got to Israel. I have no jet lag now. Look at me.
Wow. Woo! There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you don't remember anything that we said tonight, and we did say a lot of things that were very important, do remember this. Ladies and gentlemen, without a shadow of a doubt, God bless America. It is now time for America to bless God. We will be back tomorrow night, Friday night. It's open heart, closed case night. We focus on unresolved homicides, missing persons, teen suicides, and child abuse cases, and hopefully bringing these things to an end, or at least giving newsworthiness to them. I want to thank Mary Brockman. Love you dearly. Mrs. Biggs, and all the others who were in the chat room this particular evening, my producer, Bonnie Williams, to one and to all, and to my favorite network advisor, Dr. J. Ruby. Good night, and God bless you all. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow night. Peace, my friends. Peace.